All right, if you're not paying attention, pay attention right now. Microsoft is retiring SharePoint 2010 workflows. So you all might be wondering, what does that mean? And of course, there's a lot of devil in the detail. I'm here to explain that to you briefly. First off, we're talking about Office 365, not SharePoint on-prem. So they are retiring 2010 SharePoint 2010 workflows for SharePoint Online, which is part of Office 365. Now, if you're on-prem SharePoint, this still matters. Why? Because if you're smart like most organizations, you're going to want to make that jump to Office 365. And when you do, those workflows aren't going to work. So here's the timetable. Starting August 1st, which was last month or so, Microsoft started when all new tenants within Office 365 no longer allowed SharePoint 2010 workflows. That's number one. The second date that we care about is November 1st. Starting November 1st, this is official, Microsoft will begin removing the ability to run or create SharePoint 2010 workflows from existing tenants. So if you have a 2010 workflow running and you have a business process that's built upon it and your organization is relying on it, come November 1st, it may stop running. Not just edits, even executing and running on your environment. That, as you can imagine, is a potential problem. So how do we address this, or what's available to you? So the first thing is we have ways, and we have already worked with number of clients to address this problem. And your paths of solution are pretty much one of two. Take those 2010 workflows and upgrade them, or recreate them is what I should actually say, recreate them as SharePoint 2013 workflows. But that is a stopgap. Why? Because Microsoft's obvious approach and investment for workflows in the Office 365 and Microsoft's cloud is around Power Automate. So any 2010 workflow that we might move to 2013, I would probably suggest it's a matter of time until you're going to have to upgrade it again and recreate that workflow using Power Automate. Which brings in the second option. Just recreate those workflows in Power Automate and move on to the investment and the newer technology that Microsoft is investing in and that they make available. Now, there are some nuances. They are not exactly the same, right? 2010 workflows are even varied from 2013 workflows. And what we can accomplish in Power Automate is even different than those both workflow engines. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to do certain functionality in Power Automate, where it's substantially easier to do others. So the question that we need to determine is, how complex is that workflow? And can all the actions in that workflow be replaced with actions within Power Automate? And that is where a tool from Microsoft comes in called the Modernization Scanner. What we do is we work with organizations, we set up the Modernization Scanner, and this scanner will scrub your 365 tenant. Now, if you notice, the scanner is not called SharePoint Workflow Scanner. It's called the Modernization Scanner for a reason, because it does a lot more than just workflows. But let's talk about the workflows first, and then we can follow up with what else shows up inside that scanner. From a workflow perspective, this scanner will give us an idea of the distributed legacy workflows across your SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013 workflows. It will give us that list of all of those. It will let us know of any legacy workflow usage. It will tell us which sites and lists those workflows are associated with. And then here's the kicker, and this is the huge benefit of the scanner, is Power Automate upgradable score indication on how well it detects the actions from 2013 and 2010 workflows, and if they could possibly work in Power Automate. That's important, because if there's an action that exists today on those older workflows that don't work on Power Automate, you're going to have to get a little bit creative in regards to how we address that business logic. Now, with that said, that's what the Modernization Scanner is going to give us around workflows. It gives us a bunch more. Now, why is it called a Modernization Scanner? Because some of you guys, and especially organizations that probably have 2010 workflows, are probably using some of the classic old user interface of SharePoint Online. There's a whole nother world out there. Microsoft refers to it as the modern experience. Some of those classic experiences and functionality don't transcend to modern. So that modernization scanner will give us the details on those workflows, but it'll also tell us when wiki libraries were being used, what sites have blogs, and a handful of other features that do not move on over into the modern user experience. So that modernization scanner is a really great tool to understand what's what. Now, here's the kicker, and let me just share one quick story, because some of you might say 2010 workflows, you know, that's 10 years ago. The probability of us using one of those is really slim. Let me share an example. Client of ours, spoke with them. Hey guys, heavily users within Office 365, you may want to run the scanner. We work with a client, had a work session to set up the modernization scanner. They ran it on one region of the organization. They had over 1,000 2010 workflows. They had no idea, and they had no logical reasoning to think that they would, but they did. So it's worth the time and the effort. Run the scanner. Make sure you don't have business processes that are dependent on these 2010 workflows and then be in a world of hurt come November 1st. Next steps, or here's your homework. Hopefully I got your attention. So now you're thinking, hey, we need to take some action here. So this is what you do. You click on the link below, contact us through our website, get a hold of one of our account reps, and we can work with you in a number of different ways. The first is get that modernization scanner up and running in your tenant and get that data and determine if you're at risk for this regression of functionality from Microsoft. The second part is once we get a detail of that report, we may find out, or you may find out, there's action that needs to be had. We have a full staff SharePoint knowledge management team, which can assist with the modernization of SharePoint from classic to modern, or the recreation of those workflows into 2013 workflows, and or within Power Automate. We can help in both of those areas, and or even if you just need assistance and you've ran into problems setting up the modernization scanner, we can work with you there and have some work sessions and get you up and running. So then that way you can mitigate this potential risk that might be happening to you and your organization come November 1st.